Already, if you have not already, can you please mute your microphone? Just because it lags everything down. Um, and if you forget or something happens, like worse things have happened. Kate and I were in a meeting with iReady, and I thought I muted mine, and I was cooking breakfast because we were asked to go on it like 20 minutes, 10 minutes before, and the smoke alarm went off. So because I was frying food. So it could happen. We were doing our first presentation with the high school on Wednesday, and my assistant coach thought his was muted, and the toaster went off, and his kids were going all over the place. So worst things have happened. Our goal for today is to go over some of the different tools that Classroom has as a review more so for that. I know some of you reached out to me and were like, which one should I go to? I've been using it, but just for assignments. And I said, just come to this one because the first one we went much more into actual tool-based stuff. So some of this, if you did come to the Google One session, some of this may be just a quick review in terms of slides for you.
At least the first half.
Right, yeah, the first half. In the chat, I have put the presentation link so that you can access that anytime. I'll also put it in the end. So feel free to do that. Kate is going to present, and I'm going to look at the chat. So if you have questions, and you feel free to put them in there. In the first one we did yesterday, there was a lot of good conversation going back and forth, questions. And anything that we can't answer now, we're going to send out at the end of the weekend, kind of like an FAQ for what we are able to do. And if there's anything that needs like an administrator point of view more so, we're going to forward that on to them and let them know that. One thing that was questioned in yesterday's was about another Chromebook drop-off pickup idea. We posted that to them. So yep, I'll repost that. So if that is a question, we did send that to them. More to come, I'm sure. They had an admin meeting this morning, so I think that went long and had lots to talk about.
Yeah, I think if she's not already here, Stephanie's popping in.
Okay, well, welcome, Stephanie. If you're here.
All right.
So Kate and I have, over the last however many days this has been now, 2 weeks, 14 days, I think, just sent each other these different things you see on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, whatever you look at, and they cracks me up. But this one, like Kate and I were talking the other day because she was saying, my kids eat whatever they get to, like they make their own lunches. So this one really cracked me up. When you catch your kids eating a family-sized bag of tortilla chips for breakfast, you realize you don't have to cook. And if you've ever watched Community, this is scene from Community. So I thought that was pretty funny. And the next one, which is where we are, practicing social distancing from your refrigerator. I have a friend that put on Facebook that they either grossly underestimate how much four people can eat, or they're going to come out like 20 to 30 pounds heavier out of this. So that's where we are in our household.
And then I added one.
Oh, good. Hey, Kate sent me this one this morning. Yeah, this one, feel free to enjoy.
It cracks me up because we've been in so many meetings and we're seeing everyone's houses, and this is definitely the view.
All right. So as in anything with teaching, the keys to success are simple. And we like to put this in there because I think everybody, including Kate and myself, are guilty of overcomplicating the preparation for this and what this can be, and stressing like, how much do I do? What do I need to recreate and everything like this? And so I like to show this because this is the things that we do all the time anyways, with preparedness, flexibility, and adaptability. And I also liked to put in, something from our community. This is a scene from one of my basketball games. And I like the enthusiasm this shows. And if anything else, if you're a friendship person, you get Big Mike at the top up there getting pretty excited. So I say this to keep it simple with what we have. You don't need to make it more complicated and stressing for it. These are the things we already do. So the first couple things we're going to get into are tools that you can use in your preparation. So the first one, and all of these are clickable in the presentation link. The first one goes into more of like a day-to-day view that you could use for yourself, and you could also send out to your kids if that would be something that's helpful. Adapt it, apply. Like we all do this as elementary teachers and teachers in general, anyways. But it's a template that you could, steal. We stole it from the LIU sending stuff out, and I like in here the difference between what the student completes and then what needs to be submitted on what days. If you're going to do submissions and stuff like that, you can at least keep yourself sane and keep the kids sane. So this is more like, what is your week going to look like? We all plan on a weekly view anyways, but what's that going to be for you? The next one gets into more of a day-to-day stuff. So this is Oreo Online Learning, and this is something that you can send out to all of your families, and it brings in responsibilities of the guardian and student. And I think that's really important. As Kate and I have done Digital Academy for a bunch of years, the organizing a dedicated learning space, helping your child create an online learning schedule, whatever those different things are, helps the parents who are in a new realm. But if Kate clicks on that, not to slow down the computer.
I think I might need to turn off my text messages.
Okay.
All right, let me just turn these suckers off so that you don't see my whole life.
So
it's slow, but it's coming.
This is something that is more of like a day-to-day or assignment to assignment, activity to an activity view. And here it brings in, those different 4 components of Oreo with objective, responsibility, expectation, and organization. And like I said, these are a lot of no-brainer things, but I think it's a good concrete starting point that you could look at. Feel free to use, don't use, remix it so that it works for you. I think pace is an important thing that we all struggle with. Like, okay, how much is this going to take? All of these different things. You can safely assume that whatever you plan is going to take 2 times longer than it would in the classroom. Right, wrong, or indifferent, but that's what is suggested by all, people that are smarter than me. We go back to the slides then, Kate.
Yep. 1 second. I'm force quitting my VIP thing. There we go. Okay.
So that's Oreo Online Learning. You can feel free to share out that graphic and use that. The third thing is, again, something that we do as teachers always anyways, but it's just something that, if you've got 3 days of learning, you could send, this checklist out to your kids, and they could know what they have to do on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday. And we're going to see an example of that in a Google Sites that Kate made. But this is a free template you can use. I just made arbitrary dates and changed colors so that it was aesthetically looking better. So this is something you can help send out to your kids that remain organized, that you don't have to recreate something. As far as planning stuff, I think using some of those things is good before you ever get into like what the tool is. And we show these things so you have something, but also that you see that while this is different, yes, some of the preparation and thinking things aren't as different for us as we worry it will be. Kate, anything you got with that?
No, I think we're good. Just really quick, Andy, you might have already said this, but some of these slides are going to look the same as if you were in Google One. We're just going to skip them. But if you're going to have a link to this presentation if you don't already, so you can always go back and reference them, because Google Classroom this year is different than Google Classroom last year or previous years. And the other thing is if you see something you want to know more about that we haven't included, or maybe we've just touched the surface of it, put it in the chat. We're saving the chat transcript so that we know, like, we go back and we answer all of your questions, or at least we touch base in email or text with you. So if you see something you want to know more about, we can get back to you, or we can even create a whole another session on it. So as we go through some of these first slides, we're going to skip, because if this is obviously advanced, so we know how to create at this point, but this is a video to show you how to create, use the stream, and the basic layout. How to organize work. We're just going to go over this just really quickly. I know we went over it yesterday, but if you're not aware, this year there's a classwork page. Previously, we've always organized our work on the stream, and I hate to use the word organized because it was just a post like Facebook and it would just move down the screen. But now we are able to organize work in the classwork section using the topics, which are basically like folders or units. But one of the things that you may not be aware of is that material is really good for using and posting things for student consumption. So if you are going and pushing out something on introduction to main idea, then you could post directions and multiple materials underneath the material section. So you could put a YouTube video, a website link, an article, all within that one material to keep it concise and so that students can consume and digest that information. And then for them to respond back to you is when you would use the assignment, quiz, or question. So really materials are for student consumption, and everything else as far as the assignment, quiz, and question are for student output. So we're going to go into a Google Classroom that we've made. And essentially we organized it by week because we don't really know how long we're going to be out. And if you've had a chance to, Andy, can I click on this, or am I just going to go to my classroom?
Go to your classroom.
Okay. Whoop, that's on it. Okay, so here's the classroom now. And so we kind of organized, here's the first topic, so resources, and anything that you would need for them to obviously see all the time, you would put under materials, not assignments. So like if you need a Google Hangout office link or office hour Google link, then you could put it there. And you can also take that out and save it as a draft so that they're not always having access to that link. But then we organized it for like the week of April 6th. You know, these things are materials, they're not assignments, so that they're not having, they know they don't have to turn anything in. This is kind of where they start. And then maybe you have day 1 ELA with your directions. Again, this is the material tab. It's not an assignment, but you can attach all of these things in one material. And then lesson 2, or the second thing they have to do on day 1, and maybe their art lesson, and then maybe this is what they are referring to every day. So then they don't touch day 2, or maybe you don't write day 2, maybe you have specific dates or a step to it. I'm not quite sure how it would work best for you, but we just wanted to show you the difference between using materials. You know, this is a really good example. Where was it? Right here, day 1 ELA. This is a really good example of what materials can do. It's kind of like an agenda where you can put all of your directions and then the things that they need to look for. And then they're not really turning anything in here, but you would have to create an assignment underneath for that.
So just to follow up with some of those different things, what we did was we just created like some generic questions. Like those are obviously, you could do discussion questions, which we'll get into next. But like, even if it's something to break up like a beginning part of that day for you. So I put like, what's your favorite thing? What favorite thing did you do over the weekend? It could be generic stuff that you might have those kind of conversations with your kids at the beginning of any week. And that can be where they can respond to that, you know, and you can turn on, if you've never used the question stuff or you haven't used it a ton, you can have it where they can respond, or you can just have it where they can't respond to other people. It's up to you. Like, depends on whatever your preference is. And you can do it more content based to make it a discussion board and stuff like that. But one way, you know, we split that up in the organization of that. And Kate, if you can go back to, so then ideally, if you're going to be, you know, you're creating some of your lessons, you could create where math, ELA, and science are all integrated together. So more like a PBL type thing, but you can have your materials that way. And near the end of the week, Kate, scrolling down.
I'm there.
Okay.
That's all.
You're lagged. There's an assignment there for what would be the final copy of the opinion writing. So that's where you've got your 3 days of learning, and then your assignment there is at the end. Again, these are all just suggestions, and you can do assignments every day, whatever works for you. But just, you know, a couple ways to break all of that up. And what we like with that is, even if you've used the topics and everything, I think that breaking it down into week will really be helpful to any of the kids that are trying to view it, because it's just it's a different way now.
Is it up now? It was lagging.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So really quick, moving on to the next. If you happen to need to post in several different classrooms, you have that ability by just, if I know many of the upper grade teachers probably already know this because they have multiple sections, but if there's a need for you, like you're a specials teacher, you could always collaborate with other teachers. Like if I'm an art teacher and I'm responsible for giving out assignments to multiple teachers, I could either provide it through them for email, or I could post in their classroom if I have access, because I would be a co-teacher. So I do is I just check the classrooms I want it posted in, and then I can hit assign. You can schedule assignments. So if you're posting in your, in your own classroom, you can post tonight and have it pushed out on a different day. It'll give you the time and date. But the only problem with this is if you're pushing it out to multiple different classrooms, you can't schedule assignments at this point. You have to save them as a draft in your first classroom, and then when you're ready to make it live, then you can go ahead and post in multiple classrooms. We kind of talked about this. I'm going to fly through it real quick so we can get to the Google Sites part. But Classroom also has the ability, I know Andy said you can have the students respond publicly so they can respond to each other, or they can do a discussion post where they're responding privately to you and their peers cannot see what their responses are. So that's a nice feature. The other thing is, I know we're not doing grades, but if you're doing some kind of fun pretest or maybe a trivia, whatever that you're having them do, or in the future when life resumes back to normal, if students are on a Chromebook, they can take a quiz in lockdown mode. So we're going to just skip through this real quick, but that's an option. When you create a quiz, you have the option of choosing lockdown mode, and whenever they hit that quiz, they will only see the quiz. There will be no tabs. It'll go into like full screen, and they can't go and Google the answers or whatever, but we might not need that right now. Assignment calendar is a big hit for Google Classroom. If you're not aware, you have a Google Calendar with your own district stuff, but then you also have a classroom calendar. And then there's a way that you can share it with parents and make it public so that they can see what assignments you're posting each week, and any updates that you want them to have. I'm not going to click on that because of time, but that is available, and that's a link that you have available to you. Gradebook is also one that this is a video in there for you for when life resumes, but it's a really nice option as far as everything's in one spot. If you've used Google Classroom in previous years for grading, you'd have to click into multiple different student work, and this is all in one spot, and you can plug in the grades. Okay, so real quick, this is a big question that we keep getting. If your students did not come and pick up their Chromebook, and they need to get into Google Classroom, they're going to want to go through the district website, go to the student portal, and use the Google Easy Login. And Andy made a really nice direction Google Sheet that we've made public for everybody, that you can give out to parents. So this is a link right here. And again, because my computer's slow, I'm not going to click on it, but it'll show the parents step by step how to log in and get to Google Classroom. Okay, so Google Sites. This is more of an advanced feature. If you are interested, you can use Google Sites as an LMS. So an LMS is like Canvas, Google Classroom, whatever you need to do to organize your materials and your conversations, basically your overall communication with your students. And so let me just get out of this and go to, I made a sample one and literally just threw it together. So it's random. It's not ideal. There's not all the bells and whistles. But if you're looking for a one-stop shop where you can house all of your materials, you can embed your classroom calendar. So let's go. I know we made some assignments here. So like you could see question of the day 1, question of the day 2 is due. And so you can see that all of these assignments are due. Based on having the calendar right there, so parents can access this and they can see what you're doing in your classroom. You can create different pages. So week 1, it's slow, but there's going to be an agenda that pops up here, and I don't know why it's not popping up. So this is like, this is in my drive and it's got links on it. So like this is an agenda that they could follow, where they could say, okay, in day one, in ELA, this is what they're doing. In math, this is what they're doing, social studies, science, and specials. So then this is already planned out. So it's a one-stop shop for them to go to. And then technically you could keep adding pages for each week. And then you can hide the pages if let's say like we do this to the end of the year, heaven forbid, and there's too many pages, you can always hide the page. So yeah, this is definitely an option for if you're willing to dabble. I mean, you have the ability because it's attached to your account, and then we house it. So the only thing that you would need to make sure you do, yeah, it says show us homies because for your homeroom. I like the word homies. Okay, so one of the things, if you decide to do that and you decide to make a Google site for a one-stop shop, you'll want to make sure that this is the default over here. So when it says publish, anyone in our school district can find it and view it. But you're going to want to make sure you change that so that it has like the world icon so that anyone can find and view it, meaning like parents. Because yeah, you want to share it with students, but it would be helpful to share it with the parents as well. And one of the things that I did put in the, sorry to keep going back and forth, in where it says welcome to our online hub, it says this is our one-stop shop for the next few weeks. Here you will find our assignment calendar, important info and dates, our weekly agenda with links to our assignments. And then I said, please consider bookmarking our site for easy access. So like if they star it, then they can keep coming back to it and they don't have to keep asking you for the link. But you know, the nice thing here is that you can, when you want them to submit something through your Google Classroom, you just put the link. So like if I'm going back here, I did not make this agenda. Deanna Fearon did, and she shared it with me. But if this were mine, I would make this link right here. Nope. Where was it? The assignment turning it. I would make links that they need to return things to me. It would be the link to the Google Classroom so that they're not having to go into Google Classroom and into a site. It just links and it works nicely. They work very nice together because obviously it's in the G Suite. Any questions?
Yeah, and if you are like, that sounds really cool, I just don't know where to begin, we can jump on a session with you, walk you through. We can, if there's enough demand of people that would like to do that, we can offer that out next week, early on as you're planning out and everything like that. So feel free to do all that.
All right, so if you saw, this is another example, this video you are more than welcome to look at, is a video of a teacher's website, and they embedded the class calendar a little bit differently. Well, it was the agenda view, but these are the examples to how, or these are the directions, sorry, on how to embed your classroom calendar onto your Google site. So again, it's just another way of connecting your Google Drive, your Google Class Drive, your Google Class Calendar, all of those things onto your Google site so that the Google site ends up being the one-stop shop. Okay, Andy, things to consider.
Yeah, and so these are a lot of no-brainers, but you consider most of our work's gonna be asynchronous, meaning the kids can work on it and turn it in without everybody being together with it. If you're gonna be doing videos, consider creating a YouTube playlist. Everybody does have a YouTube channel that they can create all of that. Again, if you want help on how to do that, we're happy to show you anything with that. As we said earlier, know that assignments are going to take twice as long as they would in school due to a lot of different factors. And then keep your videos short. 3 to 5 minutes is really like a good sweet spot, or shorter than that. Like if we try to give them a 15-minute tutorial of how to do X, Y, and Z, some will persevere through it, but many will not. So that's just a couple things to think about. The next slide gives us something that you can click on that gives face-to-face conversion tools to what would be used, through technology. And many of these, if not all of them, I think is stuff that's approved and has been used. So I like how this was built because somebody else built it and we used it, because it'll give you, okay, here's what we'd be doing in face-to-face, here's what it looks like online instruction kind of thing. And then the last slide is a quick 2-minute article you can read at your leisure that gives teachers tips for shifting to online learning. Simplicity is key. There's individual touch points, which we all do, anyways, are the game changers to making sure everybody stays connected. So we don't like to go more than a half an hour. And right now we're at 26 minutes. There haven't been any questions in the chat, which is fine. But anybody have any questions, or Kate, do you want to add anything else with?
Yeah, I just got an email. I don't know if Stephanie from Shrewsbury is on, but we both got an email from her. Somebody else might have the same question. So I'm going to go into a classroom where we have students, because she wanted to know, as a speech teacher, can she post things to students individually? So if this is her speech classroom, but she's got, different caseloads, if you create an assignment, let's see, test. And over here on the side, it'll say like what classroom you want it to be at, which is there. But then it says all students. I'm going to unclick all students. And let's say I just want this to go to Joanna and Nicole, or just Joanna. Then that's what I can do. And it'll push it out just to her. And when I hit assign, she will see it on her page, but nobody else in the classroom will see it on their page.
Does anybody have any questions? For sharing any YouTube videos, should we create a safe shared link? So, Kate, jump in then. When you share out videos, like, they have to be approved for SYCSD, and there's a little link that you can, I'll have to pull it up, that you can put on that, but that should make them safe. Kate, you do a lot more with YouTube than I do.
Yeah, let me share my screen, and if you have to go, you have to go. As soon as I don't know what just happened, guys. 1 second. My computer's going nuts. There we go. All right, it's going to share here in a second. And it might have frozen. What's the next question? I'll keep working on the YouTube one. I'll pull up YouTube.
No, we can always, we'll get back to that one. No, we got a quiet room today.
Yeah, we do. We were in sleepy.
Okay, so you can use, let me find I'm going to copy and paste the link. So Jen asked, there's an extension for Grid View. And so I just put that in there, that you can add it to there, and then what it'll do is, I'm going to present real quick. For anybody that missed the beginning of this. So there's a grid view here that if I unclick it, now I'm going to start seeing a bunch of people. I will warn you, if you try to do it with 57 people, it's crazy on your screen and it might slow it down. But just click on that. And if you try to add it right now and it's not showing up, I added it earlier during a meeting and it wasn't there. And then when I came into this one, it was.
Yeah, but my computer's really slow for the first time, and I've been in like a bunch of meetings, so I think it really slows it down.
So actually, there is, so if I go to, give me 1 second here.
Opinion writing for kids. Episode 1. Opinion writing. What is opinion writing for kids? Your opinion is what you think or how you feel about something.
Sorry, guys. I'm trying to do too many things at once. So I'm going to present here. I'll show you here. when you are showing a YouTube video, if we can see this down here, there's a little box that says approve. This video is not approved for sycsd.org. So if they're at home on a home computer, it's going to come up. But if they're on their school website one or the school one, I don't think it will. If you click approve, then that's really the only step that you would have to take with that. You don't need to go through like submitting different things to the school or anything like that. But and you can also approve it, and then you can remove it the week later if you don't want it to be shown or anything like that. That gets archived and everything like that. So I think that's something you could do pretty easily there. I don't know if that answers you, Ash, but that's all you.
I have a really dumb question. Can you all see Andy's screen?
No.
I cannot.
I just stopped presenting.
Okay. Well, when you were presenting, nothing was coming up for me. So that's a red flag for me and my computer.
Switches your face. Correct. It is approval by the teacher. And it's a click there. So like the video playlist, Christy, that you guys were looking at for writing, that one, all you have to do is click on that and you're good. So before, like in the old days, you'd have to go send something to technology and principals, and then they would look at it, approve it, watch this, do that. Now it's just that click of the button with that. So to make that, a little bit easier for everybody. Thanks, Missy. So Missy put in here a screen share that takes out ads. So Carla asked on Google Classroom, should we post stream to the stream at all or keep everything in classwork? I personally like to set it all up through classwork, and I turn off the stream because then it gets messy, and everything's organized. Like it's up to you, but I have found the kids like it a little bit. It's easier for them to navigate around by just looking in classwork and looking at however you build your topic, whether by week or by subject, whatever that is. Good questions. So Kate's computer is having a meltdown right now. These things happen. So Kate's going to leave us for now. What we will do, no matter what, even if we talk through some of these different questions, we'll put them in like an FAQ kind of thing just to send out to everybody so that we're all on the same page. We are in the process of trying to finish just a quick Google site that would be a resource for everyone as time goes on, that will have these recordings on a YouTube channel and stuff like that you can go back and if you missed anything that we do in the future, that's stuff you can watch, anything like that. As we go into the following, next week and the week after that, and we'll see what happens next. We'll be offering different things that come up or are asked. So if anybody does have anything that they would love to see, they think would be good for them or for the group, feel free to put that in the chat or reach out to us. So for instance, a couple people district-wide had said, can we have like a Google Meet, Hangouts Meet tutorial that we could do? So we're going to offer that out if anybody wants to see how to set all of that stuff up. We're going to put resources and everything out that way, but it's something you can join or not. We don't do anything for more than 30 minutes unless it's like a Q&A like this. So we try to keep the content 30 minutes and under, because you all have things you're juggling at home. You all have different meetings. You're trying to plan, teach, do all of that stuff. So that's going to be kind of our format as we go forward. Thank you, Christy. Okay.
Thanks, Kate and Andy.
Thanks, Ash.
It works now.
Hey.
I had to restart it, and then I had to remove the grid extension from Chrome.
So you don't have the grid extension anymore?
It was slowing down the computer so much. Eventually, my mic stopped working. Closed captioning came on. I couldn't do anything. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
Amy did the same thing. See, not just me.
Do you feel validated with that?
I do. Thank you, Amy.
This is a big moment for you.
It is, because I felt crazy. Like my computer was making lots of noise. It's a newer computer. I'm nuts.
Andrea, I would say you're good. You're welcome to, but I would say you're good. Oh, listen, Greg, I can show you the Super Bowl one if you want next. I mean, what's better than I know you're not supposed to do this, but whatever. Zach Ertz diving into the everybody can see that. I mean, that's just what championship looks like.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Jason.
Jason, which car did you use yesterday for your parade?
I took my 71, my pickup.
Okay, I thought I saw the pickup, but then I also thought I saw the longer white one.
I have like a big silver hoopty ride, but I didn't take that.
Well, who did? Somebody had one. Somebody in the.
Jim had one. He had his it's his grandmother's Tempest. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. That's
Good job, guys. Thank you.
You guys.
Thank you for coming. 58 people, Kate.
Well, maybe that's why my computer was so crazy. I was like, oh my gosh. So the next one's not Google 2, it's Google 1.
Yeah, the next two are just Google ones.
Okay. So then that, because I felt like we were rushing because there were so many things to get through.
Hey guys, one other quick question. If we want the link, like you said you were recording it, are you going to send that out via email or how's it going to be presented?
Email.
Okay. Thank you.
We have a site that we're building. Eventually we can just embed these on the site.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. But yeah, we'll send out the link.
Okay. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
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 So we need to go back up. Was that okay? Was that too?
No. Here's my thinking. If they came here, then okay, it's just you and me. If they came here, then they've presumed to already know stuff with it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I will say, like, because they kept flipping around, like, there's a lot of people that wrote stuff down, whether it was ideas just from what you and I were saying, or whatever we said sparked something for them to remember.
Yeah, I guess that's what I mean by was that okay? Do you think they took something away from it? Actually, you should stop recording.